Well, let's do the usual. Well, good morning, and it's Sunday morning, and I'm just sitting looking out at a day that has promise, looking at the garden and the flowers. It's still a little chilly, so I'm sitting in front of a fire, and I just took the head staggers and decided that since we have been rejigging Rouser Radio, that I would do a little Sunday morning gig, I think is the operative word, a little gig, and just have a little chat, because it's been a pretty heavy week one way or another, and a lot happening, but mostly I think that it's the terrorist activity that's just started to take place with both the IRA and dissident groups in Sri Lanka, and for that matter in other parts of the world as well. And to see this returning is distressing, to say the least. And perhaps it is time for the authorities to really clamp down again. It's not nice living in a community where you have to worry about bombs and bullets. I lived in Northern Ireland for 15 years, and checking under your car became a matter of everyday experience. But I hope that we don't have to do that over here again in the UK, and I hope that people in other parts of the world don't have to. Some countries seem to think that they're immune for this sort of thing, and then it strikes. We've always got to be on the alert. Anyway, not a happy ship to start on a Sunday morning. I'm only going to be with you for a few minutes, just to bring us up to date. We won't be on the air this coming week because of a very heavy schedule, but then the week after, we shall be back with Rouser Radio on a regular basis, on a daily basis, and we're just trying to determine which is the best time of day for us to do it, because we do television first thing in the morning and then bits and pieces throughout the day. So where should we slot our radio efforts? That's the question that is bugging us, and I suppose I don't know whether Monday is a good day Sunday rather is a good day to consider this. And I'm after the Easter frantic activity at Easter, I'm not going to church this morning. I might go to the pub at lunchtime, and I'm going to visit the editor of Town and County magazine, for whom I write a little this afternoon. So all in all, an interesting day ahead. But let's listen to, first of all, our favourite group, and we'll just feature them this morning. Our favourite group out of Newhaven in East Sussex, UK, Dandelion Charm. And just so that you know who Dandelion Charm are, they're friends of me, mine, Keith Hayes. But don't let that stop you, because they are very, very professional. They are going places. This is a group to keep the eye on. Claire and John.
Take good care of all you see and do. Keep your sunshine, hold it close to you. And always will remember the light shining from you. And I hope your September is not blue, is not blue. past, but time is always new. And always will remember the light shining from you. And I hope your September is not blue, is not blue. It's not blue. It's not blue. It's not blue.
Look ahead, do not fret. There's nothing that you cannot do. Look ahead, do not fret, 'cause everything's waiting for you. Oh, everything's waiting for you.
And always will remember the light shining from you. And I hope your September, really hope your September is not blue, is not blue. It's not blue. It's not blue. It's not blue.
Well, a terrific couple, John and Claire. And I had lunch with their father last week. And he is a character and a half, believe me. Clive Shorthouse. And we relived old times. The one time that we both enjoy giggling about is that he and his wife Mary held a fundraising tea for a charity, and invited my late wife Valerie and myself down, and we sat and the starting time came and nobody came, and we thought, what a flop. And then he went to check the diary and he'd got the wrong Saturday. It was the next Saturday. So the tea was all ready, so we tucked in and we scoffed a particular cake. It was rather a nice cake, actually. In the week, a panic call from Clive to say that the lady who had donated the cake was looking forward to seeing it raffled and that she hoped to be present the next week. So we had to go around Lewis looking for a cake that was similar, but we couldn't remember really what it was like except that it tasted good, and hope that nobody would ever notice that this wasn't the cake that she'd donated. I can't remember exactly how we got away with it, but we did. Only just by the skin of our teeth. But that's the Shorthouses. They're a wonderful family. And we got into more scrapes together than you can shake a stick at. Anyway, that's Dandelion Charm. For those of you who aren't familiar with Lewis, it's a small town. 17 to 18,000 population. It's the county town of East Sussex, and if you add East Sussex to West Sussex, because we tend to do that a bit at the moment, because new boss is Prince Harry, who is the Duke of Sussex, and of course his wife Meghan, who then becomes the Duchess of Sussex. We're the largest county in the United Kingdom, and because we're on the south coast and close to all the activity to the continent, there's a lot of history here. There are 3 or 4 things that are particularly key. One is the Battle of Lewes of 1264, which was fought here between Simon de Montfort, heading up a group of barons, and King Henry III. And that was all about the fact that the monarch was spending their money. Sound familiar? It was spending their money without any reference to them, and they felt that they should have a piece of the action when it comes to governing the country. And indeed, that's exactly what happened. And that May, in 1264, the first Parliament sat in Westminster. And it wasn't a parliament as we know it today, but nonetheless, it is considered to be the first spark of democracy in England, because 50 years earlier, the Magna Carta had been signed by King John. No, it hadn't, because he'd put his seal to it, because King John couldn't write. So he didn't know how to put a signature or sign, and he couldn't read. So so much for royalty. And so even though that was considered to be the first great document of the unwritten English Constitution, the fact is that the first spark of democracy took place here in this town. Secondly, it was the stalking grounds of Tom Paine, who wrote The Rights of Man, and who coined the phrase the House of Commons, and he was very anti-establishment and wrote a number of tomes that were against royalty, and the fact that we still considered divine right of kings to be in place, even in the 1700s. He left for the United States eventually, and helped foment the American Revolution, and according to historian Bill Bryson, coined the phrase the United States. So he was some pup too. And then thirdly, Queen Mary, after King Henry VIII had broken from Rome and the dissolution of the monasteries, she tried to restore Roman Catholicism to the United Kingdom, and those who stood in her way got pretty heavy handling. 17 of those dissidents were burned at the stake right in the centre of Lewes. So our bonfire night on November the 5th, apart from celebrating the fact that Guy Fawkes was caught before he could blow up the House of Commons, or blow up Parliament, and it was also to celebrate, or not celebrate so much the death of the 17 martyrs, but to remember that they died in the name of religious freedom. So we got quite a few things that go on during the year, and there are a few other things to throw in as well. Battle of Lewes, recreation, 2 weekends away. That'll be very exciting. There's some the old ancient medieval version of the stormtroopers rage through Lewes, cutting people's heads off and so on, as indeed did happen in the original battle back in 1264. Anyway, that's our town, and I suppose really one of the things that we want to do is to keep the spirit of Tom Paine going, because he kicked against the establishment, and we're living, I think, at an age when we do need to kick against the establishment. However, there are those of us who are either too old or don't believe in civil disobedience quite the way that it's been going on around the country this last a week or two, particularly with the Echo Warriors closing down London to all intents and purposes. So we actually invoke Tom Paine to say that these are the things that we are upset about, and that we believe that change should be in the wind. And on our Facebook page, Mirador Television Facebook page, we are beginning this coming week a new page called